A few months ago, I converted my FAA license to a Canadian license, and it was very hard for me to find someone that will explain the process to me. So I decided to make a YouTube video to help people who are looking to do the same. In this video, I will talk about how to convert a commercial pilot license, an instrument rating, and a multi-engine rating. Before you start, you must be at least 18 years old. You must get a Canadian medical certificate, and it has to be a category 1. I know that in the US you are allowed to get your commercial pilot license with a class 2 medical, but in Canada you must have a Canadian medical and it has to be category 1. You must pass the FAA-CA exam, and I will talk about the exam in a few minutes. You will need to have at least 200 hours flight time. If you have done your CPL in the US, you should have at least 250 hours by now, so this shouldn't be a problem. There is no need for a flight test. This is what's nice about the conversion process between the US and Canada. You will not need to do another check ride, you will just need to pass your written exam. You don't have to be registered to a Canadian flight school. Usually before you take a written exam in the US, you need an endorsement from a flight instructor. In Canada, it's called a recommendation for the written exam. But for the conversion exam, you will not need that. I know that some of the flight schools in Canada will try to sell a conversion course to you, but it is not a requirement from Transport Canada in order to convert your license. The first step in getting your Canadian commercial pilot license is getting your medical certificate. For this step, you will not need to be physically in Canada. There is a list of doctors all over the world that can do the exam. There will be a link in the description below for that list. Like I said before, it must be a category 1. The process time is 30 to 90 days. I know some people who got their medical certificate in 3 weeks. For me, it took 3.5 months till I got the certificate. So just take in consideration that this process will take a little bit of time. Transport Canada will not send the medical certificate internationally. So if you have a friend or family in Canada, it's better to write their address on the application form. If you are planning on attending a flight school in Canada, maybe you can ask the school if it's okay that you will send your medical certificate to the school's address, but you will need to have a mailing address in Canada. The medical certificate costs somewhere between 200 to 400 Canadian dollars. Usually, you will do the physical exam and the hearing test at the doctor's clinic, and then you will be sent to a different lab to perform an EKG test that costs an additional $50 approximately. You must have your medical certificate in order to schedule the written exam. After getting your medical certificate, it's best to call to book the FAA-CA exam because sometimes it takes around 3 weeks to get an appointment for the exam. So it's better to call as soon as you get your medical certificate. The cost of the exam is $35. You will need to call Transport Canada and pay over the phone. You will need to show the receipt when you take the exam. If you wish to convert your instrument rating, you will need to do another exam and to pay another $35. The FAA-CA exam consists 20 questions. The pass mark is 60%, so you have up to 8 mistakes. The time limit is 1 hour. And when you finish the exam, you can see your mistakes on the computer. Remember those mistakes because you will not be able to see them later on. After you finish, you will get a feedback letter and you will need that letter in order to apply for the conversion. Transport Canada have a document that states all the material that you will need to know in order to pass the exam. For me, it was a little bit hard to learn from this document, so I bought an online course. I will try to release a few more videos that explain the differences between Canadian and American aviation. After passing the exam, you will need to fill out a few forms. Also, you will need to bring your passport, your medical certificate, your FAA license, your pilot logbook, the feedback letter, and the receipt from Transport Canada. You will need to pay $80 for the conversion of a CPL and a $30 fee for each additional rating. You can find a link in the description below for the passport photo requirements. If you wish to convert your instrument rating, you will need to do another written exam. This exam is called the FAA-IA. It consists 20 questions. The pass mark is 70%, so here you have up to 6 mistakes. In order to convert your instrument rating, you must be current by the definition of the FAR. You will need to prove that with your logbook. The cost of converting instrument rating is a $35 fee for the written exam and another $30 fee for the rating conversion. If you have a multi-engine rating, you can convert it just by paying a $30 fee. If you are converting both instrument rating and the multi-engine rating, you will be issued with a Category 1 instrument rating. That means that you can fly IFR in a multi-engine aircraft. Every pilot in Canada must have a certificate of proficiency in radio. You will need to do an exam, and you can find all the information about this exam in a study guide in the description below. Industry Canada are in charge of radio licensing in Canada, and you will get your certificate 2 to 3 weeks after passing the exam. Usually you can book the exam through a flight school and the cost is around $35. For conclusion, the conversion will cost around $515 and it will take around 6 months. I hope this video helped you better understand the process, and I will be happy if you could support the channel and subscribe. Thank you for watching and good luck with your aviation career.